Hello everyone, we're here again. It's week 11, which means we're talking about Unit 7 this week. That means in a very short few weeks, we'll be done. Next week is Unit 8. We're going to do a review after that. Then we have our written exam, followed by the final exam. I'll give you more details each week. This week, we're actually talking about devices or technology. So as you can see here in my preview, we're going to talk about, first of all, the 3 most important inventions in history. For example, I think that the computer is the most important event in history. Why do I think that? Because it changed the way we live. In our chat, you guys will talk about the 3 most important inventions you believe come from history, and we'll talk more about them. Important to note, why? Why did you choose these? How has life changed since they were invented? There's a lot of things we can say in these cases. Look at the pictures above. What's this for? That means, what do we use something for? We'll discuss computers and technology, explain technology and devices, and we'll use something called imperatives, a type of grammar to give a suggestion and give instructions. For example, first you, then you, why don't you, after that you can, etc. So lots of things to talk about. Let's start with a little survey. I'll ask this in the chat, of course, and we'll discuss it a little more. Inventions we can't live without. We'll start with the first question. How long have these inventions been in your country? For example, how long has Wi-Fi been in Korea? It's been around for a few years, of course. How was life different before them? Imagine we didn't have internet. How would life be like? What would life be like, I should say? And we're also going to talk about some inventions we can't live without. For example, I can't live without my smartphone. It's the way I communicate with everyone and do a lot of my work. We'll talk about why that's important to us. In our chat, we can also do a sort of survey. We can ask questions like, how do you use your smartphone? And we'll talk about the time, often, sometimes, hardly ever, or never. Or you can use alternative expressions too. How do we change these into a question? I use my smartphone to send messages. Well, this is probably a question like, how do you send messages? Or, what do you use your smartphone for? But here there are many different sentences, so try to use variety. How often do you send emails? How often do you do your school assignments on your smartphone, etc.? So there's a lot of questions we can form here. Next up, here's the focus of our grammar. We use infinitives and gerunds for uses and purposes. Okay, so here we don't say we don't say like my smartphone is sending messages. Instead, we say something like I use. So I use my cell phone to send messages. Some people use their phones to watch videos. Some people often use their phones to take photos. Same grammar, just a different way to phrase it. Over here on the right, I use my cell phone for sending. So to send, for sending. To watch, for watching. To take, for taking. There's no difference in the grammar. In our chat, we're going to try a little game. We'll talk about a device or technology, and we'll give some hints. It's a kind of tool people use to draw rounder circles on paper. It's used with a pencil or pen. What is it? This device is called a compass. So those hints lead you to understand I was talking about a compass. Let's use this grammar to make our own hints. Now, what do you know about technology? Let's try to match the left and right sides to come up with different expressions. Number 1, many people use tablet computers. Okay, but what do they use it for? Many people use tablet computers to make phone calls. Many people use tablet computers for making video calls. Same thing, right? Same grammar here. Think of one of the items in column A and make your own sentences. We will practice this in the chat. Paparazzi use drones to spy on celebrities. List some unexpected uses for new and old items. Compare your answers with the class. Okay, so try to think about different items and how we can use them for new purposes. Here, we're going to learn several new expressions, and I'll use these a lot in our chat this week. Computer whiz, computer crash, etc. You will, before the class, hopefully organize them into different charts. For example, some are a problem with technology. Others might just be the name of a gadget. It could be people who are into or enjoy technology. And finally, we can talk about things that are done online. Okay? So we'll try to learn some of those terms and use them in our discussion too. So we could ask, are you an early adopter? Do you think you have a good smart device? Does your computer ever crash? So several questions we can come up with. Now, we'll also discuss a little bit of IoT, the world connected, using your phone to control things like the light, the windows, the air conditioner, your TV, etc. We'll talk a lot about these questions over here on the left. Here's an example dialogue about two people talking about technology. I'm going to read through, and then we can use some of these expressions this week. I can't believe my phone's frozen again. How long have you had it? About a year. It's not that old. Maybe someone hacked it. Really? You think so? No, I'm kidding. It's probably just a virus. Oh, so what do I do now? First, you'd better install a good antivirus app and be sure to update it. Okay, I'll download one now. What else should I do? Well, don't forget to reset your passwords. That's a good idea. I never remember to change my old passwords. One more thing. Try not to use public Wi-Fi networks. You're right, I'll have to learn to be more careful. So in this dialogue, the person's asking about how to better protect themselves and not use a smart device and be something like hacked or get a virus. Interesting discussion. Notice the language in some parts. For example, it's probably just a virus, a guess. What should I do? Asking for advice. You had better. Don't forget to. Try not to. So lots of expressions here that are giving recommendations. We'll try to give a lot of good recommendations in our chat this week. Be sure to, make sure to, remember to, don't forget to, and try not to. These are good ways to give advice. In our chat, we're going to talk about technological problems, and we'll try to give advice to each other. For example, before using an electronic safe, you have to reset the passcode. How can we change this? Before using an electronic safe, remember to reset the passcode. That's one way to express this differently. Now, finally, we're going to talk about some inventions that have changed the world. How about this one? A water bottle that can also hold your key, card, and cash. Or a see-through toaster, so you can tell when your toast is that perfect color of brown or shade of brown. What about a soda can? This is a holder so your hand doesn't get cold and your soda doesn't get warm. How about a sandwich bag that will ensure that nobody steals your lunch? Here, the bag is painted with this coloring so it looks like the sandwich is bad. A battery you can recharge with a USB port. A handy paw wash for dogs when they come in from outside. A flat extension cord so people won't trip and you can put it under the carpet. These are just some fun ideas, but we'll come up with our own inventions in the chat this week. This is one of my personal favorite, a bench that always has a dry side. So if you go outside and it just rained like it actually did here in my city, you can just turn a crank and the other side will come up. It's dry. So we'll leave it there. You and your team will come up with your own idea for an invention. So first of all, you're going to think of what sort of problem can we think of in our society, in our life? And we'll try to come up with some invention to help solve that problem. Okay, see you guys in the chat this week. Bye.